Hello everyone and welcome back to the Real Positive Girl podcast. My name is Sabrina. Thanks again for joining me for another week. I am so happy that you've chosen to come back, and if you're new here, welcome. I hope that everyone had a great holiday. And I forgot. Happy Monday. Today is Monday. But yeah, I hope everyone had a great holiday weekend. I hope that you were able to spend time with your family as best you could. I hope it was enjoyable, and I just hope that it was absolutely awesome. So anyway, again, welcome to the podcast. Happy Monday. This week we are starting off with a new theme, as we do every week, as those of you who do listen on a regular basis know. But if you are new here, again, we do start with a new theme every single week. And this week we are talking about emotions. And for example, some topics that we're going to talk about this week is anger, depression, anxiety, being self-aware, those kind of things, and just kind of quickly break them down, how to kind of identify if you are struggling with those emotions, and how to take it upon yourself to tackle it. Something that I say probably almost in every episode of my podcast is that I encourage you to seek help if you feel overwhelmed and don't feel like you have the correct support system in your life to help you with what you're going through, which is totally fine. Not everyone is qualified to be able to help with different mental struggles, mental illnesses, if you are within those bounds. And so it's not a sad thing if one of your family members or best friends or whomever doesn't have the capacity or the knowledge to help you, and reaching out for, qualified help, like a doctor, a counselor, someone like that. There is no shame in that, and I encourage you to do it, even if you don't feel like you necessarily need it, but you need it a little bit. You feel like it'll make you a stronger person and, continue on your road to being your best self, then I absolutely encourage you to do that. So anyway, happy Monday. Today we are going to be talking about becoming self-aware. So let's go ahead and just jump right in and talk about it. So becoming more self-aware will assist you in knowing your thought patterns, feelings, and behaviors better so that you can be more productive and efficient in your life. And who doesn't want to be more productive, efficient in their life? Like, I don't think I know anyone that doesn't want those things. And I'm here to encourage you that by becoming more self-aware, you can become those things, as well as, just being able to identify your thought patterns and your feelings and your behaviors. And if you find that you take a step back and realize what thought pattern that you're in, then you can kind of tell like where your mind is going. And if you know from history and past experience that it's going to a negative place, then you can stop that train, like take it back and then get on a different train, get on a different track, and go down a path that's more neutral or just more positive in general. So I think it's really good to be aware and to get a grasp on those things. One of the best things that being self-aware will help with is taking more responsibility for your actions, not blaming people for your own failures, and it will stop you from projecting your own insecurities onto others, which I feel like I would love to do a whole episode just talking about people projecting their own insecurities onto others. Honestly, I'd like to see if I can come up with enough content to do that for a whole week, because it is such a big thing that people do, especially on the internet. Like, I'm sure that you know this, but it's just one of those things, especially if people leaving negative comments, just saying bad things in general, coming down on people, being hypocritical without us really knowing that they are being hypocritical, or even if you do know, it's terrible. So that's definitely something I'd love to talk more about in the future. But becoming self-aware will help you to cut back on all of those things. Taking responsibility for your actions, whether positive or negative, is definitely a bonus, especially for the people within your life. Not blaming people for your own failures and mistakes, because you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be finding an excuse why you aren't responsible. You should be taking the responsibility, learning from it, growing from it, and moving on. Like, why waste your time blaming someone else for it, especially if they are strong enough and have the mindset to know that they do not need to be responsible for that and they continue to push back, then you just wasted your time. You might as well just like take your lumps and move on. And again, stop you from projecting your own insecurities onto others, because you don't have the guts to just face what's going on with yourself. Like, how much of a coward are you? And I know that sounds really harsh, but I totally mean it. You cannot be a coward and not face your own insecurities and decide to just throw them at someone else, make them deal with it, make them feel all insecure and terrible, especially if they haven't built up a strong enough mindset to know when to receive things and when to push things back. It's just a whole mess. And so I just think that becoming more self-aware will definitely help you with all those things, because all those things are gross and things that we all need to learn from. I know that sounded really harsh, but I really mean it. Like, I really mean it. You will also become more compassionate and forgiving of others in your life and yourself, which is great. You know, I started off with this, and it sounds like you're really doing all of these things to better the people in your life, which is true, because, you know, becoming a better person to be around, to be with, to be within your family, you know, your friend groups, at work, because those relationships can really be a determinant on how well your life is, especially if those relationships are really important and integral to you having a good life. Like, for example, you know, at work, I was really struggling with my own personal things, and that was kind of coming off of me and going on to my boss and my coworkers at work. And, you know, someone called me out on it, which I think is great. It was really hard to take in the moment, but it was really great. And I was able to like realize, oh crap, I need to get my crap together so that I can positively affect the people that I'm around every day, you know, when I was going into work. Now most of us are working from home. But it created such a sour environment, especially when people had to come up and ask me for things or to do things. So I think you know what I mean. But yeah, it's all of these things will be really helpful to help you become your best self and forgive and have compassion for yourself, and you know, really like love yourself during this time of transition and change and growth, but also be a great thing for other people in your life. It's such a great way to focus and work on yourself that will also give you some insight. So a lot of people love to talk about self-care, you know, do your bubble baths, you got your hair masks, you know, you want to take that time to do your toes and watch your shows and sit on the couch or go for a walk or work out or do whatever. And believe me, I do all of those things. Like, I get it. I love those kind of self-care things. But I think it's important to also spend some time working on yourself that is going to actually give you some insight into who you are, why you do the things that you do, what's actually truly going on in your mind, and how that is affecting any sort of progress that you are trying to make or are making on the goals and projects and things that you are working on in your life. So I think that's super important. One way to become more self-aware is to start journaling. And this is something I for sure struggle with. The closest thing that I can get to journaling is filling out my like little daily planner. But that planner is actually pretty like detail oriented, asks the right questions that are really working for me. And I just love it. I absolutely love it. So that's the closest that I can get to journaling. But, you know, this could be done by just recording your daily thoughts, you know, maybe do like voice memos on your phone, or if you prefer to do like a video or something, like a video that you want to keep private and you just record your thoughts throughout the day. Physically writing it down in a notebook, that's totally great. Maybe you want to use my version of just writing it down in a planner that asks very detailed, specific questions, because my planner asks me about my mood, asks me what I'm grateful for, what I'm looking forward to, what did I learn that day, and then all the regular planner stuff are like, what are you going to do today, goals, blah, blah, blah. So you could do that. You could type it up on a computer, cell phone, tablet, whatever, or one of my favorites is just leaving yourself post-it notes in a specific spot where you can kind of mind map your written thoughts. And maybe you have like a board or a wall in your house where you can, anytime you have a thought, you can just have post-it notes on your desk or wherever and just write things down, write down ideas, write down things you want to work on, stick it up on the board. Maybe at some point it'll kind of look like a serial killer has been there, especially if you like have lines and like yarn and everything going on. But it's so helpful because I know that things that you can see all the time, like up on the wall, that really encourages me to work on things. So that could be helpful for you. Something else to add to your journaling could be tracking your habits if you are trying to work on creating or breaking a habit. So you can do like one of those habit charts where you have like 30 or 31 days and you can mark whatever symbol that you want or put a sticker down or have you color it in, however you want to do it, for each day that you don't do something that you know you need to stop, or for a day that you actually complete something that you're working on becoming a full habit. And if you listen to, I forget which episode it was, last week, I talked about how scientifically it takes 66 days to create a habit. So maybe you want to make that chart longer than 30 days. Maybe you want to make it the whole 66 or 70 or just do 90, just to fulfill a whole 3 months and know that you are gooch to actually create that habit or break the negative habit. Another option is meditating, taking the time to turn off any overwhelming constant thoughts and having the opportunity to face any thoughts you may have been avoiding, or even just a moment to not think about anything if being overwhelmed by thoughts is a daily issue for you. Now, meditation is something that, I've tried it. My version of meditating, I would say, is prayer. And I even, to be honest, I even struggle with prayer. I love prayer and I offer prayer to people. I would say it's a lot easier for me to pray about things for other people than to spend time praying to God about what I'm going through and what's happening. But my version of meditating would be sitting in prayer, trying to sit in quiet, not think about anything else, let the Lord lead me, and just let Him, just fully immerse myself in the quiet to let His strong voice speak to me and tell me whatever He needs to tell me. But if that's not your jam and meditating to you is just to sit with quiet or sit with a certain type of music and just clear your mind, or let whatever you feel is the most important thoughts just come into your mind and then you deal with those. Whatever way you do it, I think is great. I don't think you have to have a certain specific way because everyone does everything differently, but it's just another option. Something that I have been doing to help with my own self-awareness is to be more aware of my reactions to situations, confrontations, and general interactions with each other. Because, again, it's very helpful for you to know and adjust how you're acting and what your reactions are to other people in your life and what goes on in your everyday life. And I know this is a really hard kind of habit. I don't know if I'd call it a habit. It's a hard skill to grasp at first because sometimes if you're anything like me, you'll just get super wrapped up into the emotion and what you're feeling, and you won't be able to stop yourself from having the reaction that you are just immediately drawn to having. But with time and practice, you'll be able to stop yourself in the middle of having a reaction that you know in your mind is inappropriate and does not deserve to have that much emotion poured into whatever is going on, whether it is a situation or a confrontation, or, someone tells you something and then you just overreact immediately, or maybe you don't feel like you're overreacting, but maybe, you didn't necessarily say the thing that you wish you had said. You said something totally different because it just was kind of like word vomit. You didn't really take that extra 5 to 10 seconds to clearly frame in what you actually want to say and then get that out, if that makes any sense. So that has actually been really helping me. It really helps me to just remind myself, take 5 to 10 seconds to step back in my mind, think, do I want to react this way? Is it worth it? Am I going to regret it after it's over? And even if you start to get into it and then you take a breath, I feel like taking a breath really helps. It really just helps break up what's happening. You're just okay, maybe this isn't how I want to feel. Maybe this isn't what I want to do. One of my biggest issues is sometimes I'll get into a tiff with someone and, I'll want to react. Because like whatever they're saying maybe is not how I feel, or they're assuming they know how I feel, or they're saying things that just aren't correct. And you immediately want to jump in and defend yourself. But I have learned that if I just take a breath, step back for 10 seconds, and then be like, okay, you know what, just let them talk. Just let them say what they're going to say. Make sure my reaction, my response isn't going to be as ugly as maybe theirs is, if it is. And just be aware of you doing the right thing, the way that you want it to, as opposed to what's just coming out of you because it's just pure emotion. At the end of the day, if you take the time to become more self-aware, you should also be willing to change any behaviors that don't serve you positively. So throughout this time, when you learn more things about yourself, you become more compassionate and forgiving, you take responsibility, you stop projecting those insecurities, all of these things. So, you're like, oh, I need to do this, this, and this. And you have a little short list of things you want to work on, but you have to actually be willing to work on those. You have to actually just be willing to change those behaviors as opposed to just identifying what your issues are and to continue on with them, because what good does it do? I mean, yeah, it's great to be aware of what's going on, but if you don't attach that awareness with actual change in behavior to create a better self, then it's all for nothing. It's kind of a waste of time, because if someone's like, oh, you should become some more self-aware, and you're like, oh, I am so self-aware, these are all the problems that I have, but I'm choosing not to fix them. How dumb does that sound? So I just encourage you that if you're going to take the time to become more self-aware, which I absolutely encourage you to do, then it's important for you to actually, work to change some behaviors. Not everything. I'm not saying you have to change everything about yourself, no matter what. I'm just saying that you should pick a couple things that you feel like would actually impact you positively and those that you care about around you. And no, don't base it on the people that are around you. Base it on what you actually feel like will help you in the long run in your life. But it helps me a little bit to keep those other people in mind, because it's like, okay, this is really going to affect me positively. But a bonus is it's going to affect them positively. So anyway, thanks again for coming back to the podcast, guys. Again, you're listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina, as your host. I hope you really enjoyed this episode today. And if you did and you feel like you would love to share it, I would encourage you to do that. If you feel like, someone would really benefit from hearing this episode, please tell them to come and listen to the podcast. I would absolutely adore it. Any additional notes or ways to contact me or visit me on IG or send me an email are listed in the description box. Again, thanks for coming back. I hope that you have a fantastic Monday. And I just realized that this is the first episode in forever that I didn't start off with my whole greeting about if your day has just started, then I hope it's a fantastic day. But if your day is already in the middle of it and it's been real crappy, just take 5 minutes for yourself to clear your mind, to feel peaceful, to feel not any stress, to let it go and know that you can make a brand new day even better tomorrow. Especially if you take some time to problem solve whatever's going on with your life, to shift into the next day and know that you're going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. You can even start over. If your day is crappy right now and you want to start over 5 minutes from now, you can do that. You have the freedom to do that. So thanks again for listening. I hope you come back for tomorrow's episode, and I will see you then. Bye, everyone.